What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's team selection time ahead of Game Week 16. Gonna go through how I did in Game Week 15 after Game Week 14's disaster. Let's find out what kind of a disaster happened in Game Week 15. Then, of course, we're going to look ahead to Game Week 16. Transfers, which may or may not already be done. I'm going to talk through them. Obviously, captaincy as well, future moves and stuff like that as always. So if you enjoy it, give it a like. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. And let's take a look at Game Week 15. Alright, so last week I described my team as pathetic. And to be honest, it was another pathetic performance with slightly more returns, right? Mbomo and Antonio both came away with assists, but that was it. Last week, 2 of my 3 Liverpool players returned. I think it was Salah and Jota. This week, again, 2 of my Liverpool players returned, Salah and Trent this time. But I have fallen down again, 158k to 190k. And I'm basically in free fall. And it's not going well at all right now. Just to go through some of the other players, right? Arsenal, deserve to lose their clean sheet, right? They were just the 2 offside goals. Okay, they're offside, right? It is what it is. Yes, it's very small margins, but you can't do anything about it. But Everton were just the better team, and I think part of that was like Everton were good. I'm not trying to take anything away from Everton, but I just don't know what Arsenal were doing. Like they went 1-0 up, and then they tried to like defend the lead. That's what it felt like anyway. And their attempt at defending the league was just chaos, right? And I know what chaos looks like because I've seen Man United try and defend in recent weeks. And it's been the same. It's just chaotic matches. The Man United versus Arsenal match in particular was like that. And Arsenal did the same against Everton. They just could not control it and keep the ball at all. And Saka was pretty poor, just like the rest of the Arsenal team, to be honest. Tierney was probably the one bright spark, I would say. Odegaard did okay as well. Obviously, they were the ones that combined for the goal. Saka very close to an assist, right? If Nketiah had put it in first time, that would have been an assist to Saka. But he didn't. I thought he didn't score the rebound either. But at that point, Saka wouldn't have got the assist because he hit the post. Kane, another blank. That's been an awful buy. I'm trying not to dwell on things too much, like the Rafinha transfer out I know was bad, etc. But the Kane versus Son call has been such a swing in points, right? Son's got 3 returns versus Kane 0. I would have got Pookie in as well. I would have probably got James for his Leicester haul because I would have had a spare transfer because I would have had the money to do it there and then. So there's just been a massive knock-on from that transfer, like a really bad domino effect. But I've just got to hope that that starts flipping the other way and soon I get a bit of a run of luck, right? Because I do think, look, Kane versus Son, you can say that Kane's awful, right? He's really bad. I don't know what you were doing. But the swing of points from not going for Son has been quite brutal. And it just feels like I'm in that situation now where it feels like everything's going against me. And I'm trying not to let that affect my decision making. And we'll come on to that when I talk about my Game Week 16 team. Elsewhere, I had to laugh at James and Alonso. Right? I'm finally on 4 premium defenders. Okay, West Ham's not an easy fixture, but for James to absolutely smash it, right, I'm going to actually quickly look at his points before. So we had 12 against Leicester, 7 against Burnley without a clean sheet, 21-13 in the previous 4 matches. So that's really quick maths. That's 25, 46, 53 points in 4 games. And the next 3 games, he's got 1 point. Right? Obviously, he missed one of them completely, but whatever. He's got 1 point. And again, you can say timing's everything. He looked in form. They were easier fixtures, to be fair. Right? I would say that. Like Man United at home, Watford away, West Ham away is not as easy as the 4 fixtures before that. But that swing of points, like 50-odd points to 1, is just crazy. I have to laugh it off. And Alonso just got a 1-pointer as well. So overall, pretty awful. Antonio, 5 points, it's okay. Antonio's assist was one of those where you're really happy you got it in your FPL team, but it was a bit rubbish, right? He didn't create the Masuaku goal, just like Son didn't really create the Lucas Moura goal, but it is what it is. That's how FPL works. I'm happy with the 5 points, just like Son owners, I'm sure, are happy with the 5 points as well. And then Mbomo's assist was quite nice, a reverse pass. He finally got some points. Good fixture coming up next. Not quite in a rush to get rid of him, even though I know everyone hates him. So really bad. Again, I know I'm going to start getting comments like, how are you making videos at 190k? But there's a long time to go. So I'm not going to be completely negative. We're going to look forward. We're going to look ahead to Game Week 16. I've got to get a green arrow this week. So you'll see in the top left, we've got no free transfers this week. Mysterious. We'll come on to that in a little bit. Right now, I'm playing 4 at the back. I'm actually probably going to play a 4-3-3 this week, and I'm thinking about benching Saka. I'm going to come on to that in a minute. I don't know if that's a good choice or a bad choice. Am I reacting just to what happened against Everton? Am I taking the fixture into account properly? I'm not sure. I'll come on to that in a minute. In defence, obviously, Ramsdale's staying. I think James Alonso, look, it's very easy now because a couple of bad weeks when it comes to clean sheets for like Man City, Chelsea, etc. People obviously now saying, well, big at the back's done. It's all about putting money into your attack. But I think that's a very it's a very quick reaction to what's happened. Like, I look at the fixtures, I think Villa at home's fine for Trent, Wolves at home's great for Cancelo, James and Alonso, Leeds at home. Like, Leeds have got bad injury problems, right? The reports coming out now is Bamford's re-injured himself. Some people are speculating it was from the celebration, by the way, which would be crazy. And Calvin Phillips could be out for a couple of months as well. And I'm not sure how accurate those reports are. We'll probably find out closer to the deadline from press conferences and stuff like that. But they are two big misses. We've been saying for a while about how much better Leeds would be if Bamford was back. He was back, and now he could be straight back out. And Calvin Phillips is a huge miss as well. So Leeds at home looks like a pretty good fixture. Obviously, Rafinha's still going to cause problems. It's not like Leeds don't have other players, but it's going to be tough for them, right? And you'd hope that Chelsea might get a few players back. Kovacic, Jorginho, we'll have to wait and see what Tuchel says about them. But I'm pretty happy with James and Alonso, and I think the fixtures coming up are pretty decent. Everton at home, Wolves away, Villa away, Brighton at home. There's no fixtures there where I think I've got to get rid of this double up, and I think Cancelo and Trent are just staying for ages anyway. The one thing I will say is, at some point soon, I might need some money to upgrade one of my midfielders, Saka or Mbeumo, which I'll come on to in a minute. And if I do sell one, I'm not going to be selling Trent anytime soon. I'm probably not going to be selling Cancelo. It would have to be one of the Chelsea boys, because after that run of 5 games, they've got Liverpool, Man City, Spurs, and then 2 blank fixtures. Now, I don't want to get too locked in and tunnel vision that I have to sell them, because there's no rush until they get to those bad fixtures and those blank fixtures. But at some point, if I need that money, one of them's probably going to have to go. Which one it is, I'm not going to discuss right now. We'll have to wait and see. But that is in the back of my mind, because there's quite a few cheap defenders. Obviously, Dalot, Davies, I spoke about on the watch list. You've also got Sofao as well at West Ham. West Ham have got some really good fixtures coming up. Johnson did have the place, but he got injured, so we'll have to wait and see how long he's out for. And Sofao might well win his place back, right? Because he had done really well for West Ham ever since he came in. I know Johnson's done well as well, but if you go out for an injury, that gives Sofao a chance to come back. So there's plenty of cheap defenders I could go for to bulk up the midfield. But for now, I think the calls that big at the back is finished are just too premature, right? There's only a few weeks gone with bad clean sheets. All it takes now is all 4 of these players to get a clean sheet, and suddenly is everyone like, oh, wow, I wish I still have 4 at the back, or 4 at the back still good for another few weeks. So I'm pretty confident. I actually think it looks pretty good. I am positive about my team this week. Even for all the red arrows, I think it looks good, and that starts with the defence. Let's look at midfield. So we've got to talk about the absolute key man in this midfield, right? And of course, that's Mbeumo, right? I'm going to talk about him for a second. And I think one of the things people kind of often say to me, like, how do you cope with like everyone having an opinion about your team and obviously getting loads of different feedback? And the thing is, for the most part, you've kind of just got to ignore it, because if you ask one person, you get one answer, another person, you get another answer, and then you times that by thousands of people, it just gets too much, right? There's just too much noise. So you kind of got to ignore it. So I know that people hate Mbeumo in my team. They think I should get rid of him. They think he's the reason for all these red arrows. But it's a combination of things. It's not just this one player. And this is the thing, when you put your team out there to anyone on Twitter, if you ask your friends, most people have not thought about your team as much as you have, right? I did a video with Late Riser on Fantasy Football Scout a long time ago, and he said that to me, and it's kind of always stuck. Nobody thinks about your team as much as you do. So when they look at this, they see Mbeumo like this big issue with my team, without taking into account that he's only 5.5 million and he's enabling a lot of other things in my team. The 4 at the back, the Salah, the Jota, the forward line as well. And at the end of the day, he's got Watford at home. You don't really, unless it's an emergency or something, you don't take players out before they play teams like Watford at home. The same reason I think Vardy owners should keep for Newcastle at home. And I know Vardy is better than Mbeumo, but you kind of get the point, right? The fixture's there. And he is an enabler. And the way my team is set up now, with Saka's pretty good fixtures coming up, I'm not necessarily in a rush to sell him, although I do have my eyes on Bowen. I can literally play Livramento and Mbeumo or Josh King every single week and just rotate around. And at some point, if I make that Alonso downgrade or I make that Reece James downgrade, then maybe I'll upgrade him. But Mbeumo, that is. But right now, I just don't really have a plan to do that. It could be Damari Gray as well, where Everton have got really good fixtures. He's 5.5 million. It could be a straight swap. But at a time when there's kind of talks about COVID and maybe games being postponed, and obviously we've got Christmas, there could be injuries, and when a player gets injured, they could miss like 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 game weeks just by missing one like real life week. I don't necessarily want to be making too many sideways transfers. So to be honest with you, Mbeumo might go in game week 17 or 18 or 19, but I'm not really in a rush to do it. His underlying numbers are still pretty good. I think Tony is a miss, but I got to keep him against Watford at home. So what was that? That was like nearly 2 minutes of me kind of bigging up and bombing. But I want to try and get my thoughts out there as to why I've held him this long, right? I've got to forget what's happened and now see it's Watford at home. The rest of the midfield's easy. Jota and Salah, they play. Salah played in the Champions League. He went off around the 60th minute. He should be fine to play again. He has started every single Champions League and Premier League game so far this season. The guy is an absolute machine, and he's going to be my captain. I know Gerrard's doing good things at Villa. I know defensively they're probably a little bit better than they were under Dean Smith, but they're playing Liverpool. Liverpool's attack is insane. It's the best attack in the league so far this season based on stats, expected goals and stuff like that before you ask which stats I'm using. And Salah is just phenomenal this season. Simple as that. So he is my captain. Jota's in as well, and I'm currently benching Saka. Let's look at the forward line. So if you've been following my team closely, if you can remember what it looked like last week, or if you watched the game week review section of this video, you'll know that the forward line now looks a little bit different. I don't have Harry Kane anymore. I have Ronaldo in there. That's not a proposed transfer. That is a transfer that I've already made. I did it last night before Ronaldo rose in price. And I want to, I mean, this kind of transfer, there's a lot to talk about, right? Because there's why did you get rid of Kane? Why did you get Ronaldo? Why did you do it early? Why did you do it ahead of Champions League, right? So let's start with Ronaldo, because I've often said over the past few weeks, when we get to game week 16, 17, there's a big decision to be made with Kane. You either just go straight to Ronaldo, which I never completely wrote off, but I was never necessarily fully sold on, or you kind of spread the cash around, right? And you put that money into defence or into midfield. Now, the problem with doing that, putting into defence, is what defender do I buy? I've already got enough, right? Livramento could be someone else, but there's Davies if he's available some point soon. I'll talk about the COVID thing in a second. There's Dalot maybe. There's Sofar, who I just talked about. There's cheap defenders around Livramento's price. So I don't really need to get any more premium defenders. Midfield is an area where there could be more money put into it. Don't get me wrong, there's better options than Mbamo, there's better options than Saka, but one of those options is Bowen, and he's only 6.5 million, right? So he can easily come in for Saka, and at that point, the only thing that I think I'm really missing is either a Man United midfielder, and I just don't know which one I would buy right now, and are they better than Ronaldo as an option? Probably not, although obviously Ronaldo is more expensive, or a Man City midfielder. Now, the problem is, I really want Foden. Last night, there's reports now that he might have had a setback to his injury, came off at half-time, and it just feels like at the moment there's a constant issue with him. So he's the one I want, but I don't know how confident I am. And even if I went down to a cheaper striker, I don't know who I would get. Ollie Watkins, maybe. Then I upgrade one of my midfielders to Bowen, the other one to Foden. And I got loads of cash in the bank, which I don't know what to do with. And that's not necessarily a problem, but it's not like Ronaldo is that, much of a bad option that I should be looking for loads of reasons not to go with him. It was a straight swap, one move. It just seemed the easiest thing to do. And the only thing I feel like I'm really missing now over the next few weeks is a Man City midfielder. Bernardo Silva, decent. Obviously, I've said that I think he's fine to buy. I just don't know if he can keep up this kind of golden run that he's on. Gundogan, how many minutes is he going to get now De Bruyne is back? There's just all these unknowns. I think Gundogan's probably first choice at the moment, but who knows what will happen. So there's just too much worry about Man City midfielders for me right now. I don't want to get involved with it. There's injury worries, there's minutes concerns, and obviously there's going to be rotation over Christmas anyway. So they've got a really good fixture run. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to want to watch any Man City games now because I've only got Cancelo and it doesn't feel like enough. But I think having Ronaldo is decent. I've taken out Harry Kane, so there is talk, there's speculation, there's reports. I mean, it feels like there's enough news reports now that it's probably true that there's a COVID outbreak at Spurs, and that could mean the Brighton game gets called off. So one of the two things are going to happen. One, the game gets called off, in which case I don't want Kane anyway. Or two, it gets played, but there's hardly, or a lot of the first team players are missing because they're not able to play, in which case what are Spurs really going to be look like? The funny thing is, I was going to put Kane and Son in my transfer tips video this week before I heard about this news, basically saying that you could keep them if you wanted to. Brighton have got a lot of players missing. I don't think Kane and Son are bad holds over this Christmas period. They're nailed on, etc. But things have changed, right? There's this, like I said, the outbreaks happened. Ronaldo's got a good fixture run. It just seemed like such a good straight swap. Now, I actually had a bit of money in the bank where I didn't necessarily need to move early for Ronaldo. But the problem is, if I want Saka to Bowen, then both of Bowen and Ronaldo were going up this week, and I could have just let it happen, but then I'd have nothing in the bank, right? So I'd be really on edge. If there was any other price moves, I would have to miss out on either Ronaldo or Bowen. I just didn't want to put myself into that position. So I know there's a Champions League game tonight. Man United are already top of the group. That's sealed. So the match doesn't really matter. So my hope is that Ronaldo will be rested or at least not start. Or even if he starts, like Salah, that will come off early. And don't get me wrong, if he plays and gets injured, I will regret the decision, but at least I have Saka and Livramento on the bench who could play instead. So that's why I did the move early, because now I've got a little bit of a buffer if I want to do that Saka to Bowen move next week. And at least I can make the decision without worrying about the price rises. And also, it's a quick turnaround. So this may have been a reason why I didn't need to make the early transfer. But there is a Tuesday deadline. So there's not going to be a huge amount of price rises between the end of Game Week 16 and the start of Game Week 17. And I can probably move early just because it's such a quick turnaround. So that is why I've gone for Ronaldo. I just think the COVID outbreak at Spurs, you just don't know what's going on there. I mean, there's lots of reasons not to make early moves now, because if that gets called off, there could be knock-on effects to other games. Who knows? There could be another COVID outbreak at another club. And ideally going forward, I won't make too many early transfers. I won't take too many hits and stuff like that. But this week, it just felt like the right time to do it. And it's done now. So we cross our fingers. If you're watching this tomorrow and Ronaldo's been injured, if you're watching this on Thursday or Friday and Ronaldo's got injured in the Champions League, feel free to laugh at me. It is what it is. I've taken the risk. He's in. I've got that price rise, right? Just going on to the other two players, Antonio is worrying me a little bit, but the fixtures are there and he is still fit and he is still playing. So I've got no real reason to sell him. To be honest with you, if he got injured, I don't know where I would go. Ollie Watkins possibly, but realistically, I'd probably just tank that position, put in a £4.4 million player, and probably just add in an extra midfielder or something like that. I just don't really think there's too many strikers right now to go for. Like, if Bamford really is injured, or he's off the table, Calvert-Lewin, Everton have got great fixtures. Who knows when he's going to be back? And then who knows how quickly he's going to be rushed back? Like, last week, Benitez said it's going to be a couple more weeks at least. So that's like 3 to 5 games he's going to miss. And then when he's back, how quickly is he going to play every single week again? There's just too many unknowns. I'm not making decisions based on when Calvert-Lewin's back, because I just don't know when it's going to be. So Antonio's fine, I think, with the fixtures coming up. And I'm probably going to play King against Saka. He's on penalties. I think Watford are at least trying to attack. I don't know. I might switch back to Saka because I think it is a bit reactionary based on the Everton game. And Southampton at home is going to be an easier fixture. But I just don't know if I trust him and Arsenal right now. Whereas, weirdly, I think I trust King and Watford in attack a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit knee-jerk. I might swap that position around. But honestly, I know it's been bad. I know I'm 190k, but I think this team looks pretty good for this week. On paper, at least, right? Chelsea could lose their clean sheet. Ronaldo could get injured or, might get rested against Norwich. I doubt it, by the way, but we'll see. Antonio might get nothing again and Bomo could blank again, right? But on paper, with the fixtures, I think it looks decent. Two players in the Friday night fixture is a little bit worrying because that could be weekend ruined straight away. But overall, I think it looks pretty good. And the one thing I like right now, just to kind of summarise this bit now, how the team's looking, is I feel like I've caught up. I feel like I'm making moves ahead now, not just trying to play catch-up. And I've seen people worried about how they're going to get Ronaldo in, taking hits to get him in. Do they want to sell this player? If they get Ronaldo, they've got to miss out here or whatever it might be. And I feel like I'm just a little bit ahead, apart from I just don't have the Man City midfielder. But that is just a sacrifice I made to be able to have Ronaldo. And really quickly, right, last thing, there's now rumours going around that the African Cup of Nations might start a bit earlier. Therefore, Salah and Mane, etc., might miss out some games a little bit earlier. It's just speculation for now. I don't think it's official, but it could be soon. And if that happens, Ronaldo's a pretty good captain over the next few weeks if Salah does miss out. So that's another kind of reason why I went for it. And I think if there's so much to think about now with all these postponements, if there happens to be a Spurs double or triple game week in game week 21, as Ben Credden has kind of said could happen if Brighton gets called off, then I think Salah to Son just looks like such an obvious move. So I think I can easily cover myself for that. I'm not too worried that I've just sold Kane. I certainly don't want to keep Kane from game week 16 to 21 just because of a possible double or triple game week. So there you go. That section on the forwards is quite long. The team's looking good. I've made my transfer. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. So give that one a like if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. I should just reiterate, I don't think Man City midfielders are bad. I still think Gundogan's good. Bernardo Silva looks good as well. And Foden, if he gets fit, is decent too. But obviously I just had to make one sacrifice to the team. And I think that is the main one. I think Bowen's a great option for 6.4. And I can still get him in even though I've got Ronaldo. So I'm feeling quite confident about the team. Let's see if it can finally be a green arrow because I really need one. And also, I know I've literally just mentioned like African Cup of Nations could be earlier. There could be double and triple game week soon. Could Spurs be called off? Like, a lot of this is just speculation at the moment. There's not necessarily official news, and things are moving quickly as well. This doesn't feel like the right video to go into that in more detail. So I'll talk around my thoughts a bit more in the game week preview tomorrow and cover these kind of topics. But obviously, I wanted to mention my thought process around Ronaldo and stuff like that. And hopefully, it was long enough. So hopefully, it was useful. But yeah, I'll leave it there. I'll be back tomorrow with a game week preview. Give this one a like if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again tomorrow.